Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about business credit and the history of business credit. Lewis Tappan actually is a gentleman who had created the Mercantile Agency back in 1841. He actually established America's first business credit reporting agency. That's right. What happened back then is they would have credit reporters who would actually go out into the field and interview and also report on merchants and vendors to see if they actually paid their the creditors lenders back on time. And so he would have reporters to actually go out there and have a leisure and take notes, take information down, and bring it back to the office so that they can also have it available for lenders who want to know where these merchants and vendors stand as far as paying back their creditors. As a matter of fact, a number of famous credit reporters were people such as Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, Grover Cleveland, just to name a few. In addition, again, it was the credit reporters, and you had the worthiness of the credit merchants out there who checked to see if they would pay their lenders back on time. And one other very important aspect of the reviewing whether merchants were worthy is their character. Yeah, they would actually go to their homes sometimes, their place of business, just to kind of look and see how they interacted with customers, how they would actually behave outside of their business, everything from whether or not they're alcoholics, whether or not they have a history of criminal activity. Mr. Lewis Tappan took that very seriously because he was a man of high morals and ethics. So he certainly wants to make sure that those things are in order to be able to create a phenomenal company, which actually spawned also, as we call it, it was a precursor of Dun & Bradstreet. That's right. The whole concept and philosophy was based out of the Mercantile Agency back in 1841. Dun & Bradstreet, has been around for over 150 years. And one of the things that business credit really is something that people should really look at, especially if you're starting out in business. Only 10% of all small business know about business credit. It's the advantages of that actually is the fact that they have greater funding opportunity, which most small businesses don't know. In addition to that, you have to understand that good personal credit leads to good business credit. Why do I say that? Simply because the fact that if you're a startup business less than maybe 2 years, more often than not, you're going to be using your personal loan or your personal credit cards to sustain your business. And so what you want to do in the beginning, that may be the case, but you want to position yourself later on to be able to separate your personal credit from your business credit, okay? And so with Dun & Bradstreet, they're actually the #1 business credit agency around. Then you have companies like Experian, Equifax, and other companies who have a division of business credit. And in addition to that, just to put a little footnote to the information I'm sharing with you right now, is that 50 years later, Equifax actually created the first consumer credit bureau, okay? And so they actually led the charge in the consumer credit area. And as you know, that really stemmed from the Mercantile Agency. Business credit is what they're specializing in. And so Equifax took it to another level and developed and created consumer credit 50 years thereafter. One of the things about the Dun & Bradstreet organization is they have a PEDIC scoring system. The PEDIC scoring system is very similar to a consumer credit scoring system, and there's a numerical system in place to determine what level of good credit or good standing that a company is involved in. For example, with the consumer credit, FICO has the scoring system from 300 to 850. Well, the PEDIC scoring system actually goes from 1 to 800, and of course 100 being the greatest score, which basically says that a net 30 or maybe a net 60 program, which in fact is positioning you to be able to pay back within that amount of time, 30 days or 60 days. If you, for example, get credit on an item or some supplies, and you paid it back within a week or less, that's considered to be 100. So they call it anticipated. If you pay back maybe less than 20 days of the 30-day net 30 term, that's considered to be a 90 score. And if you paid on time, which is within the 30-day realm, that's considered to be an 80 point. So you want to be at an average of 80 points, being able to pay back at whatever term you agreed upon, was net 30 or net 60 days. When you do that, you have a credit score of 80 points, which is a very good average. You want to maintain that as time goes on. Here's a list of the 5 important business credit tips that we have for you today. Form a corporation or LLC to operate your business under and obtain an FIN or EIN from the IRS. Okay. Register your company with the business credit bureaus. As I mentioned before, Dun & Bradstreet is the leader in that area. Find companies willing to grant credit to your business without a personal credit check or guarantee, and you can do that, ladies and gentlemen. There are a list of companies out there who are willing to grant you business credit and not personal credit. So you have to really just kind of do your diligence, and we have a list of those names, and at some point we will share that with you in some other segment. In addition to that, we're going to also talk about managing your debt so you can don't fall behind or get in trouble making your payments. Okay, that's number 4, which negatively affects your credit score. Okay, and last but certainly not least, make monthly payments to creditors to keep your business credit profile active. Okay, so that's just a number of things that you want to follow through. Obviously, there are other tips involved in that, and again, we will share that with you in some other segment. Okay. Now, another very interesting thing I found about Mr. Lewis Tappan, which I did my research, is this gentleman back in 1839 played a major role in leading and organizing the defense of M.C.E. M.C.E. is actually the man that led the revolt of the African slaves who captured the ship Amistad. And I think you are familiar with Amistad. It was actually a movie after it came out back in the 80s. And so Mr. Lewis Tappan played a very integral part in helping to free the slaves. As a matter of fact, Lewis argued that while slavery was legal in Cuba at the time, importation of slaves from Africa were not. The Supreme Court agreed and ruled that the Africans had been kidnapped and had the right to use whatever means necessary to escape from captivity. And so what they did is they funded this the trial, which actually went to the Supreme Court, and they actually was able to get one of the top lawyers in the state, which Mr. Quincy Adams, who was the former president of the United States. And subsequently, he did a fantastic job, and he was able to win the case and free the slaves. And so that was a very pivotal moment in the history of what was going on as far as the transatlantic slave trade. And so now we have to certainly take a hats off to Mr. Lewis Tappan. I didn't need to digress that much, but I thought this was a very intricate part of Mr. Lewis Tappan and his ethic and morals. In addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, he also helped to fund the slaves to be able to return back to their motherland. And they were very appreciative of his efforts and collaborating with other abolitionists to actually do that. And the irony, too, is the fact that Amistad, believe it or not, I believe in French means friendship. So I thought that was a very just interesting irony, of it all. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you appreciate the information I share with you. Remember, we believe in credit redemption. It doesn't matter what your situation is and where you are in life as far as credit. There is such thing as credit redemption. And so we thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.